heard? Pixar is finally coming to Disney Lorcana.
I say finally as if the game isn't but 2.5 years old. It's actually happening much sooner than I expected, but anyway. Pixar is coming in the next set 12, Wilds Unknown, and I'm very excited about it. But for as much as I love Walt Disney Animation Studios, and I do love them, Pixar is my favorite animation studio out there. The first, 15 years of them making films was just banger after banger, and they've released plenty of fantastic films since then, too. They're not always winners, but they're almost always at least interesting and just beautiful to look at. So Pixar is just a natural fit for the next big expansion of sorts for Lorcana. Disney and Pixar are incomplete without each other. They're like peanut butter and chocolate, or Bob Iger and massive corporate buyouts.
So, because Pixar is coming, and I am stoked, I've decided to do a little thought experiment where I just sort of talk about what I want and what I expect to see from Pixar when it finally shows up in the game. Now, obviously, this all isn't going to happen at once. I imagine the Pixar rollout is going to take place over many sets, but I'm going to try to touch on as much as I can, or at least what I find interesting, so let's get touching.
Starting with the one that started it all, the godfather of computer animated films and my personal favorite film franchise, Toy Story. Now, we already know Toy Story is coming. Buzz and Woody are the characters in the key art for the next set. Toy Story is the big new IP for Wilds Unknown, but there's still some things I would like to see. Now, originally, I had started writing this video before we had seen any cards, so I was going to talk about how I expect to see a toy classification. But now that we know that this is 100% confirmed, and yeah, duh. Of course. It's the most obvious thing in the world. There are so many characters throughout the Toy Story franchise, and pretty much all of them are toys, so having toy synergy makes all the sense in the world. I fully expect to see cards that can dig through your deck for a toy card, maybe an Andy's Toy Box card, and cards that give buffs to your toys. Woody seems like the perfect candidate for that. I would also love to see an action card called You Are a Toy that temporarily gives cards the toy classification. They started playing around with the idea of giving cards additional classifications in Whispers in the Well, so that would be fun to see expanded on here. Maybe there could be cards like Al from Al's Toy Barn or Sid that actually negatively impact toy cards, like remove strength or lore or something. That'd be a nice counter. The toy classification also makes it so you can separate human Buzz Lightyear from toy Buzz Lightyear whenever the beloved classic Lightyear shows up in the game. I know we're all waiting on bated breath for that one. But mostly I just want to see all the different supporting and background characters from throughout the franchise. There are so many fantastic characters in there to pick from. Give me Lenny and Rocky Gibraltar and Combat Carl and the Evil Cymbal Monkey and Karen Beverly and RC and Cheryl Burnett and Gary Grappling Hook and Transitron and every single one of Sid's mutant toys.
I don't think that's asking too much.
Oh, one last thing about Toy Story and Lorcana. If you're a big fan of Mrs. and Mr. Potato Head, as am I wouldn't get your hopes up if you're excited to see them in this game. Unfortunately, the Potato Head brand belongs to Hasbro, and Hasbro currently owns... yeah...
So that's a bummer. Where's my angry eyes?
The second big Pixar release was A Bug's Life, and while I don't expect any kind of bug classification or synergies, mostly because there already exist other bug cards that aren't labeled as such, including in the most recent set, I am just looking forward to seeing A Bug's Life get some love. That one tends to be overlooked and overshadowed by everything else Pixar put out around that time. Up next we have Monsters, Inc., a classic buddy comedy and the unfortunate IP tasked with taking a wrecking ball to my beloved Muppet Vision 3D at Walt Disney World.
I miss it more and more every day.
But in terms of Lorcana, we do know that they will be heavily featured in Set 13, Attack of the Vine. We haven't seen any cards yet, but Mike, Sully, and Boo are front and center on the key art, so it's safe to assume. Originally I was thinking they wouldn't do a monster classification, because why wouldn't they have already done that? Surely there are other monsters in Lorcana by now, but I actually couldn't think of any. Maybe like Taka or the Titans from Hercules, but those already fall into other categories, so I think Monster will show up as a synergy type in Set 13. Especially considering Monsters Inc. has a sequel and a spin-off show to work with, there's plenty of opportunities for cool monster-related characters, locations, and items. Maybe a door item that could summon a monster of a certain cost for free? That might be too good, but something like that. I also wonder if the Fish Boys from Luca would count as monsters. They do call themselves sea monsters, after all. Something to consider when designing potential monster synergies, I guess.
Now, I do want to say right now that I am not planning on going over every single Pixar IP. I feel like that would just take way too long. Like, I love Finding Nemo, but I don't really know what to expect from that. There's already plenty of fish-related cards in the game, so probably not going to see a fish classification added, but, you know, who knows? They can retroactively add whatever they want.
Next, let's talk about The Incredibles. Now, we do already know that The Incredibles are joining the game in the next set alongside Toy Story and Brave, and we know that the Super classification is a thing. It debuted on the Darkwing Duck cards in Winter Spell, but surely it mostly exists for The Incredibles. I kind of thought they might not actually do a Super tag, because we already have cards that could have had that classification before, such as Goofy Super Goof, Tigger One of a Kind, and the entirety of the Big Hero 6 team, but I guess they were just holding off. I think there's going to be a lot of synergies between the Supers, probably mostly with the Parr family, but I expect to see something like an Edna Mode or a Rick Dicker that buffs Supers, or maybe a No Capes card that hurts Supers. That would be funny. Also, Ravensburger, you are missing a huge opportunity if you do not do a Legendary Syndrome card with 2 abilities, okay? The first ability is when everyone's Super, and it gives all the character cards on the field the Super classification. And the second ability, no one will be. All characters with the Super classification get -5 strength, or something like that. We need a Syndrome with that quote that gives and takes from Supers, including himself. You gotta make it fair, but come on. Golden, perfect. It's gonna be perfect. You gotta do it. Please do it. For me, please?
Oh, this is just too good.
Ka-chow! We need to discuss Cars.
Don't leave me here. I'm in hillbilly hell.
Despite being perhaps the most polarizing of Pixar's IP, I think behind Toy Story, it's also probably their biggest. They make so much money on Cars merchandise. It does not matter that Cars 3 was one of their lowest box office performers. That movie doesn't exist to sell tickets. It exists to create more characters to sell more toys. And it works. You can still go to Walmart or Target or wherever and find tons of Pixar Cars toys. They're currently building a new Cars area in the Magic Kingdom in Florida almost entirely to sell more merch. Allegedly. Like it or not, Cars is a big deal. And there are just so many Cars characters. Like, it is never ending. Because the toy line constantly needs new cars to sell, every car that even gets a fraction of a second of screen time has a name and a diecast to sell you. They could do an entire set just of Cars cards. Probably more than one set. So I need everybody to just prepare themselves now for the inevitability of pulling cards like Greg Candyman and Studs McGirdle. You think the Sugar Rush racers are weird and overabundant and have impossible to pronounce names? Well, get ready for the Piston Cup racers. And speaking of racers, the Racers tag already exists thanks to Sugar Rush, and I think that will be expanded on with Cars. Not only is the main character a racer, but as previously mentioned, there are countless other racers between the 3 films, the Disney Plus series, and multiple shorts. Like a lot of shorts. There are so many Cars shorts. The real question is, will car be a classification? There are certainly enough cars to justify it. Not every car in Cars is a racer, so it would make sense to include a car tag. But also not every car in Cars is a car. There's also trains and boats and helicopters and submarines and combines and forklifts. And lest we forget the spin-off series Planes by the Disney Toon Studio. We all know Planes is coming. Dusty Crophopper, he's gonna be in Lorcana. So would they do just a catch-all vehicle tag? I feel like they would rather use car since the films are called Cars, but who knows? I have definitely been talking about this for too long, but expect at least a few Cars-related synergies to show up whenever they get there. I don't have a lot of predictions involving WALL-E, except that I expect to see the robot classification come back in full force. I also really want a defined dancing card. Could that be a song? It doesn't really have lyrics. The captain does say the title, though. I don't know. Whether it's a song or an action, I just want it. I also know that I'm going to go so broke when they inevitably make WALL-E and Eve Enchanteds, because what am I going to do? Not get them for my WALL-E shelves? Come on, who do you take me for? Skipping ahead a bit, I fully expect the Inside Out characters to come with the emotion classification. I can see them doing some kind of big Riley card that gets buffed based on how many emotions are in play, or maybe a headquarters locations that's buffed with each emotion there, or perhaps we'll get another legendary item with core memory. Maybe it can summon emotions for free, or it can provide some buff and be played for free if an emotion is in play. Who knows, but I know for sure that Ravensburger will be playing with my emotions in a few years. Not much to say about the good dinosaur, except that the last set, Winter Spell, it introduced the dinosaur classification on the Stegmutt card. The worst Darkwing Duck character, by the way, Stegmutt.
That's not nice.
And I think that was totally future-proofing for this and the Disney movie Dinosaur. So, you know, everyone can get excited when their favorite characters Thunderclap and Forrest Woodbush show up. Also, Rex and Trixie from Toy Story. That's probably the more immediate use of that tag, huh? I don't think Coco will have any specific classifications, but I do expect songs and the singer mechanic to play a big part in that IP. I wouldn't be surprised if Miguel is our new best singer character when the time comes. Very excited for Coco. What a beautiful movie. We know Turning Red is coming at some point soon. That was actually the second Pixar IP they announced after Toy Story, which is crazy, but you know what? Turning Red is the best Pixar film since Coco, in my opinion, so good for them. I expect some shift shenanigans involving the various family members in their red panda forms. Maybe a Sun Yi card with a universal panda shift. We haven't seen a universal shift in a while, so that would be kind of cool. I also hope we get item cards for the Bart and Lisa panda statues. If you know, you know. And that's really about it. The only other thing I want to add is not so much a prediction as it is a want. I really want to see various Pixar shorts incorporated into the game in some way. Those shorts were so integral to Pixar's identity, and most of them are just incredible, so it would be a shame if they got left out. That goes for the Disney Plus show Win or Lose as well. Let's get some pickles action up in here. And at the time of this recording, Hoppers hasn't released yet, so who knows when it will finally come to Lorcana. It could be years. All I know is I already love Tom the Lizard, and I cannot wait to get a card of that silly little guy. Oh my god, if they make a Tom Enchanted, oh, my little lizard-loving brain will just become lizard brain, and I'll have to purchase the card with money. What's going on? What?
So yeah, that's about all I got for this one. I am really excited for Pixar to come to the game, and while I don't think any of my predictions are that outlandish, I will be curious to see which, if any, actually do happen. And now I will leave you with a reading of more very real Cars characters. Thanks for watching. Van Scanlane, Polly Puddlejumper, Ben Crankleshaft, Corey Turbowitz, Clayton Gentlebreeze, Manny Flywheel, Piccolo Perry, Kingpin Nobunaga, Coriander Wide Track, Rotor Turboski,